No, I know these textures look the same, but like I said, we created 4, I think, different versions. So they're going to look similar, but there are just a few changes here and there. So in case you're wondering, no, I'm not saving the same file over and over again. They are different. These textures are for those small banister columns that ring around the outside of the garden terrace. Again, we created, I think, 4 different versions of those so that people wouldn't notice that we were repeating the same textures again and again. And it saved us having to texture up each section uniquely. Like I said, with version 9 of Vue, I won't go into detail with the program because we're only going to be using it to do the materials. I'll go into more detail with how to use the program when we jump into 2015. But the function editor, the material function graph or whatever they call it, I can't remember exactly what they call it now. I think they call it the function editor, which is where you generally start setting up your materials. That hasn't changed too much between the versions, so what you see me doing in version 9 will be pretty much the same as what you would do in version 2015 with regard to their function editor anyway. The function editor generally in Vue is used a lot to create landscapes if you're doing a very large scene where you have mountains and that type of thing in the background, or you want to fly over a very large landscape. You jump into the function editor to use some of their fractal graph, fractal modes and things to create that geometry. But because they use their function editor for everything, that includes textures as well. And that's why some people, it can get a bit confusing to some people as to how that works and why it works that way, because they use the function editor for so much of the program. As far as the look of the function editor though, it's pretty similar to a lot of other programs, node type workflow, similar to Max, a little bit different. But like Max's material editor, where you have nodes that you connect. It's just a lot more math intensive with regard to views, nodes, that's all. And that's simply because of the way that the type of program that Vue is, because it creates vegetation. That's all set. That's all done with mathematics. Generally, there's an algorithm that they're using to create plants and trees and that type of thing. And the same goes for landscapes. So that's the reason they're so heavy on use of the node editor in Vue, because of all the mathematics behind, under the hood, as they say, that's going on in the program. I'll generally, with regard to plants in Vue, I have a library of probably around 1,000 different plants that I use, that I've used over the years. So I'll use some of those. If I want anything unique or different, then I'll jump into SpeedTree and create it there. Like if I want a hero model, and a hero model is basically just something that's high resolution that you put at the front of your render. That's why they call it a hero object. I'll jump into SpeedTree and create it there, and then import that model into Vue. But like I said, though, I do have a library of a lot of plants that I'll use, and Vue does come with a library of plants as well. Not an extensive library, but certainly enough to create some interesting environments for you. You don't have to purchase extra plants or anything, because it does come standard with I don't know how many off the top of my head, but there's at least 30 trees or so, and bushes and flowers and all that type of thing. Eon Software do have their own plant editor called Plant Factory. I don't use Plant Factory. I do have a license for it, but I generally prefer to use SpeedTree. I probably should jump into using more Plant Factory than I do, but SpeedTree seems to do everything I need, so why change? Alright, we've done those, so we've got these ones left here. That one, that one, that one. A few of these painted banisters, a few supports. And that one. Okay, we're on the last leg now. So yes, getting back to plants in Vue, it does come with a standard install of the PLE Personal Learning Edition. Does give you a library of trees, some bushes, some flowering plants, some grasses, I think, from memory. Certainly enough variety for you to create an interesting looking scene, just using the PLE version. But like I said, when you see me jump into 2015, I'll be using my plant library, which is a bit more extensive. I have probably about 1,000 different plant species of trees and bushes and flowers that I use, as well as ones that I've created myself in SpeedTree. So. And just depending on the scene that we decide to set up for this model, the environment we decide to create for it, I may jump into SpeedTree and create a couple of hero trees for the foreground. I'm just not completely sure on what sort of look I want to go for that scene, for that environment, for that model. Whether I want to make it, and at the time of day as well, of course. I'm not sure about that either. I think the model would probably look good with maybe God rays type look, so probably maybe an early morning scene. But again, I'll wait till we jump into Vue and start playing with the environment before I decide for sure. Is also with the atmospheres in Vue. Vue again you can load in different atmospheres for the program, and it does come standard with a good range of atmospheres that you can just load up and use. I tend generally, depending again on the scene, not to use their pre-installed atmospheres. I usually jump into the atmosphere editor and start tweaking things a bit there. generally, because I won't use clouds in a scene, most of my scenes I'll do in a blue sky type environment. Any of my, I have used clouds in the past, so I won't say I never use them. And you can layer different clouds in Vue. You can have as many cloud layers as you like, or using different types of clouds, from cumulus to stratus to all that type of thing. And you can get all, or if you don't even want to set it up manually, like I said, you can load in an atmosphere. I'll show you that when we jump into 2015, but I generally don't load their atmospheres in. I usually play with the rendering settings in the atmosphere editor myself by hand to get the look that I want, and to also speed up the rendering, because you'll find with a lot of their default preset atmospheres, they're not optimized really well, and they're going to take a long time to render. And that's always been a complaint of people that use Vue, is it takes, some people have said it's taking my computer days to render out a still. And that's generally because they've just loaded up an atmosphere directly from the program, and the atmospheres haven't been optimized properly, and they're slow to render. That's just the way they are. So my advice would be always to jump into the atmosphere editor. It is really great software, Sniper Echo. Like I said, I've used it for years. I'm a broker for them, so that's why I sell my models on their website, because I like their software, and I generally like to support companies whose software I find really useful. So that's one of the reasons I'm selling my models on Cornucopia, which is their website for models that you want to purchase, because I like the program so much, and it does what it does really well. It creates some beautiful images and really realistic looking scenes from it. And again, it's really the only type of software like that on the market, apart from maybe World Machine. The World Machine is a lot more difficult to use, at least for me anyway. Unfortunately, Eon know that as well, so they can take their time in fixing bugs in their software too. And believe me, you can have some bugs. Like I said, this version 9 that you see me doing this material in for the initial model creation is terrible. It's really terrible. It'll crash. If you look at it funny, it will crash. It's that bad. But not 2015 though. 2015's been pretty good. But it is. I encourage you guys, if you're into doing environment renders or any sort of environment work, do have a look at Eon Vue, because it is a really good piece of software. It creates some really realistic scenes, completely in 3D. So you can use other software to do the same type of thing. Like I know occasionally I'll just use Max and V-Ray and maybe Multiscatter, which is a plugin to do some grass and trees and that type of thing. If you're just doing a small front yard for a building, or surround for a high-rise or something, that's usually good enough. But if you really want to go full-on 3D environment, then Vue is the way to go. And like I said, you've got nothing to lose if you did want to try it out, because they have a free version you can use. So download it, try it out, and see whether you like it. And they've got I think 4 different versions of the software if you did want to buy it. You don't have to jump to the top of the range version, which is Extreme. I think they started with Pioneer, and then they got Artist, and I can't remember exactly what they're calling them all now, but there's 4 or 5 different versions at different price points. They all do pretty much the same type of thing. The more expensive ones though just have extra features like the ability to export models and a couple of different import file format versions and that type of thing. So unless you're a studio, you really don't need the top of the range version of their software. But if you do want to buy a version, make sure they've got a table on their website that shows you the differences between them. make sure you read up on that, because I know a couple of people on their forums have been burnt by buying the wrong version and it not being able to do what they expected it to do. So it pays to read up on the version you plan to buy, if you do plan to buy a version of it. Now, I don't know whether they do that on purpose to try and make it more difficult for people to find out whether the version they're buying is the one that they need. And all isn't lost if you do buy the wrong version, because they sell things that they call modules, which are add-ons that you can add to the program you've purchased to do more functionality, to bring it up to the next version. But it's more expensive to do it that way, so if you can avoid buying modules because you bought the wrong version of the software, then do. It's cheaper to buy the proper version to begin with than purchase these module add-ons for the version you bought by mistake. So yeah, just if you do want to buy it, make sure you look at that table that they put on their website that compares the different versions, and make sure the version you're buying will do what you expect it to do. Like I mentioned last week as well, Eon Software was sold to a company called Bentley. And Bentley are very big in architectural visualization and CAD. And they've purchased a few different businesses over the years. I know that there was a lot of confusion and concern when Bentley purchased Eon View, because people were saying, oh well, they're not going to support the small artists anymore, they're just going to concentrate on their large businesses. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They still continue their artist and line of software. So, and Sniper Echo says he really likes the clean user interface across all their products. Yeah, I do too. Again, as you guys know, that's one of the main reasons I really like using 3D Studio Max or Null, because their interface is nice and clean and easy to use. There's not a lot of hidden nested menus for you to find things. It's all laid out really nicely and really easily, really cleanly. And that's the sort of thing you want when you're using anything to do with 3D. You don't want to use software that makes your job 3 times more difficult because they hide things within menus, nested menus. And ZBrush is an example of that. I don't like their interface because they tend to hide a lot of stuff within menus within menus, nested type things. I use ZBrush myself. It's a great piece of software, but the interface is terrible. I really don't like it. That's the other reason you'll notice on my start menu there I have Mudbox, which unfortunately Autodesk really aren't supporting anymore, but and I installed that because I liked the interface because it was nice and clean, but it's not as good as ZBrush. So. And it's, yeah, like I said, a shame that Autodesk don't really seem to be wanting to develop Mudbox much anymore. They did release a new version, 2017, of Mudbox, but they didn't really add anything new. Breaker says, yeah, that's the one thing he did with Blender. He stripped it back and cleaned it up. Well, and again, I've seen guys working in Blender, and the Blender interface looks nice and clean and easy to use. I mean, it doesn't look too confusing to me. So you guys that use Blender, and that's another good example of a good interface. It's just, the comparison I would make is to ZBrush. ZBrush's interface is completely different from most other 3D programs. Now, I don't know if Pixelogic did that on purpose because they wanted to make their software unique and to stand out. But I find it confusing at times. I do use ZBrush, I do like ZBrush, I just don't like the interface so much. So don't go hating on me, guys. I'm not saying ZBrush is bad. I'm just saying I don't like the interface with ZBrush. Yeah, I do too, Sniper Echo. I find it hard to use at times as well. And again, that's because they have all those menus that are nested. Yeah, it's just the layout of the menu system in ZBrush is so unique to that program. It gets a bit confusing. And again, I guess it boils down to what you're used to. And you use ZBrush enough, then you'll find it's not a problem. It's just different, that's all, than most 3D software. But like I said, for what it does it very well. I just wish that they would overhaul their interface a bit. These are things, this texture here is the stamen that's in the middle of the flower. There are 3 little stamen that are modelled into the centre of each of those tubular flowers, and that's what this texture is, the stamen. In case you were wondering what this tiny little pinky yellow thing was being used for, it's the stamen of the flower. And when we set up the materials for the flowers, they're done a little bit differently from a general material, simply because it's a flower and you want it to, you want the light hitting it to behave a little bit differently from, say, stairs like this. I'll show you the settings when I jump into the material editor and view and what I mean. Basically though, what you really want to do is pull up the back, the backlighting on the flower petals and mainly the flower petals. That's just to stop any really dark hard shadows from hitting the flower petals when it does the render, because that doesn't look natural. So by bringing up the backlighting on the petals, it helps to make the flower render look a lot more natural and real. You don't have to have that problem here on things like these stairs. You don't do that sort of thing there, just on things like flower petals. And sometimes the leaves as well, to a lesser extent. That can be a problem a lot of people have when they start importing flowers into the view engine. They set the materials up the same way that they set them up for any other hard surface geometry, and you have to change the material slightly to make the flower render look real. And when they do their render, they see these really black dark shadows on their on their flower petals, and yeah, it just looks odd. And again, it's got to do with this backlighting in the material editor. I think this is the last texture we have to do a conversion on. Now I'm just going to go into my directory there and make sure I do have all of them converted. I'm pretty sure I do now. Just going to glance over them very quickly and make sure that everything does look converted. Yep, I think we're good to go. Those are the normals and the heights. The normals and the heights, are not doing conversion on those. And aside from that, everything, normals and heights again, everything looks good. So let's close down Photoshop. Now let's pull view back up again, just before I jump into doing the material creation on this program. I'm just going to take a quick break for a couple of minutes, guys. I want to grab a fresh hot cup of coffee. So I'll take a break for a few minutes, and when we come back we'll start setting up the materials for this model. So I will be right back in just a couple of minutes, guys. Okay. So we have our model imported into Vue version 9. What we're going to do now is we're going to set up our materials in the function editor. So when we exported our model, we kept a few of the objects separate so that people could move them, remove them, that type of thing. When you bring your model into Vue, what it does is it creates a group here. Pardon me. It creates a group for your model. If you hit the little plus button, you can open up that group and you can find the different parts of the model. So the angel statues on the right, the left, the two urns at the front. And because they're separate objects here, you can move them around in your scene. Generally, when you're doing a move, though, don't work in the camera view here, as they call it. Work in one of your perspective viewports up here. You'll find it easier in this program. When we jump into 2015, they've introduced a new camera view called Perspective, which can be helpful and useful, but that's not available in version 9. Like I said, we're only using version 9. Thank you for the donation, Sniper Echo. You know, I'm a donation virgin. That's the first donation I've received. Thank you very much, dude. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. Very nice of you. So thank you, Sniper Echo, for the donation. Like I said, I'm a donation virgin, so you're my first donation. Thank you. You can move your model around in the viewport here. That's very nice of you. Yeah, no, really. Yeah, you are my first donation, so thank you. I do appreciate that. That's very nice of you. Thank you very much. I don't know what to say. Like I said, you're my first donation, so thank you. Remember though, guys, I haven't been streaming. I've been streaming. This is probably my 3rd month, so not that long. But I do appreciate it very much. Thank you, and I appreciate the fact you're always in chat and always watching me, always in chat. I really do appreciate that too, dude. You're one in a million. Thank you very much. You're the reason that I stream on Twitch, and that's because you're always here and you're always chatting, which is what I really like, which is why I'm on Twitch. I like to chat to you guys. And like I said, thank you for the donation. It's very good of you. That's our main garden terrace here. Then we have our angels at the top. And then we have our different pieces of ivy, which are all separate. So, again, if you wanted to move them, remove them, people could do that. Then we have the glass in the lamps. And I've kept that separate again so that people, if they wanted to change it, could do it relatively quickly and easily. They've only got one material to worry about here. And I've done that for all of the lamps. The singles at the front and the tri-lamp at the back. So I think what we'll do here is we can either work the textures on a complete model, we can work them separately on each piece. Let's work the complete model, I think. That way we're sure we're not going to miss anything. So this little window you have up here is your material editor. Material editor as it's called in Mac, but that's the material that Vue uses is shown here on this little globe. So generally you always want to leave your scale at 1, but if you double click that, you'll open up their material editor. When you first install the program, you're going to see it look like that, which is the basic material editor. And that's fine to work in if you're just assigning color maps, bump maps or transparency maps. But if you want to get more control, then jump into the advanced material editor, and that'll allow you to get more control over what you're going to be doing. So you have translucency effects, highlights, bumps, all that sort of thing. Now as we do this, I'm going to be changing our material names here from material 134 to what the material is actually. And you can tell what the material is assigned to because it's highlighted a different color red here in your viewports. That tells you what that material is being applied to, and in this case it's being applied to those angel statues at the very front of the model. So I'm going to call that, and they're called Angel Lamp. The model is called Angel Lamp left and right. I'm just going to call these Angel Lamp statues. It's always good to name your texture here, and that way if you have to come back and change anything, you'll find it much more easily. Now, I know we didn't set any normal maps for the angel statues. The detail in them is enough that it doesn't really require a normal map, so we're not going to be assigning a normal map to it. I'm not doing any bump mapping on it. I'm not doing any highlights on it either. There's no transparency, no reflection, no translucency. I'm not going to do any effects either, but this is where we'll start setting up our backlighting for our flowers and that type of thing. So let's move on to the next texture here. Okay, these are the bases that sit underneath the angel, so we're going to call these angel bases. Again, I didn't create a normal map for those, so we don't have to worry about that at this stage. Again, no highlights because it's stone. So that should be good. Let's move on. Okay, this is... what is this? If you hover over your texture, you'll see what the texture name is. Top rings. Top rings. Okay, it's hard to see here, but these are the top rings that are on our lamps here. These do have a normal map, and these we do want some highlights on it as well. So let's start with the normal map. Jump into bumps. You'll see a button here called Import Normal Map. You want to hit that. Go to your little arrow here at the bottom. This is the material browser. Hey Leakness, how are you? I caught a bit of your stream the other day. You were, this morning actually, you were working on another female character. I watched for a little while. Good to see you. I'm just going to jump into our, where is it? I'm in the wrong folder here. I'm in my store folder. I want to jump into my model portfolio folder. We're just setting up some materials lateness for our model in Eon View version 9. We're only using version 9 so that we can set the materials up. You'll show me where you've got so far in 6 hours? Yes, cool. I mean, if you want to show me, you know I always like looking at your stuff. I only caught a bit of the stream this morning because I had to do a few other things so I couldn't watch, for your entire stream, but I did see you working on that female character. And if you've got anything you want to show, feel free to pop a link in the chat. We're going to jump into finals. Nulled models, because that's where we saved our normal maps. Cool, let me have a look. I'm just going to cancel this for a minute because I need to recall what the name of this is as well. Let me just have a look at this link here, Leakness. Okay, yeah, this is the one I saw you working on this morning. Yep. And this is like armor, I'm assuming, that she's wearing. Some type of armor. Costume. Cool. The bit of your stream I saw was where you were explaining how I think you create the clothing by selecting parts of the model and using ZBrush's, what's it called? I can't remember the name that ZBrush call it. We were talking about ZBrush's interfaces before to create the costume anyway. Yeah, it's armor. I thought it was armor. Yeah. Looking very nice. And yeah, no, I thought you did a good job when you were explaining how you create the costume by pulling out parts of the model using ZBrush here. But no, it's looking very nice. Cool. So this is 6 hours work, yeah? That's very good. You've come a long way. Got a lot of it done for 6 hours. Very nice. Make sure you're saving your files regularly to different names so you don't get a corruption again. Oh, you've got a new mic as well. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay, cool. I didn't notice the new mic so much. Maybe my volume wasn't turned up high enough. Yeah. I didn't notice. I heard you talking in the background and explaining how you were doing your model when you were creating it. I think your old mic sounded okay though. I don't recall it sounding bad. What mic did you end up getting? Just out of curiosity. It's supposed to be with good quality now. I'm sure it is good quality. I just yeah, I don't. The last mic you were using wasn't that bad either though. What mic are you using now? Curious as to what you're actually using. Are you using a blue snowball? Well, I'm a big fan of the blue series of microphones. I use one myself. I don't use a snowball, I use a Yeti, but I've never had a problem with the quality of anything. Any of the blue microphones, they're all great. Just got to make sure, I'm not sure with the blue snowball whether you have a setting that you can change it from cardioid to, you know, they have, on the Yeti they've got different settings for it. You got to make sure you set it so it only picks up your from the front of the mic and not the back. Thank you for hosting, Galen. I appreciate that. A serious mic, Sniper Echo? I don't know, yeah. It's a big mic, that's for sure. I can see it here and it's, you know, that long. It's quite a big mic. Big thick mic here sitting on, I've got it sitting on a mic arm so it doesn't pick up the vibration from my two PCs that are sitting here on either side of me. And yeah, make sure it's set, if you have the option on the snowball, I'm not sure, to only pick up your voice from the front. Because the Yeti here, it can pick up sound from all the way around the microphone, and if it's not set just to cardioid, I think they call it, it'll pick up the fans on your in your PC. But yeah, no, I like the mic. Like I said, it's huge and it does the job. So, and it's USB too. It's not the Blue Yeti that it has. Okay, cool. You're saying Leakness, it has the setting to change the format from cardioid to all that, and if it does, make sure it's just set to the one at the front where you're talking, not the ones at the back, because otherwise it'll pick up your computer. But like I said, the Blue series of microphones are great. I've never had a problem with mine. I've owned mine now for a good 3 years or so. It's always worked. First time, never a problem. No drivers to install for it. Microsoft Windows picks it up automatically. It's the default option though. You did research on that? Okay, cool. Well, if it's like my Blue Yeti, I think cardioid is what they call the setting that you want to set it to, because that's the one that just picks up your voice from the front and not from the back or around the sides. And that's the best one to, if you're doing any streaming, you only want to pick up your voice from the front here, not from the back or sides of the mic. That's why a lot of people will use Audio Technica mics and things, because they're generally only cardioid, they only pick up from the front. So just with the Blue series of mics, because you can change the mode, you've got to be careful that you have it set on the right one so you don't pick up all the ambient noise. And I've seen people whinging on Twitch on Reddit saying, oh, my Blue Yeti picks up my computer and I hate my Blue Yeti or my blue microphone because the neighbours arguing in the 2 houses down, my mic will pick them up. It's usually because they've got their mic set to the wrong setting. If you don't have it set on cardioid, and so it's only picking up your voice from the front, it will pick up any sound in the room or any sound upstairs, or because it's very sensitive. And then that's because people use it like you would have it cardioid mode turned off if you were maybe a band and you wanted to record your music, so that it could pick up the sound from all the way around, from the different band members sitting around the mic. And a lot of people forget to turn that off, but to buy a blue mic. You're saying your old Legion's saying that your old mic wasn't consistent, and sometimes it would muffle the sound. Well, that's not good. Are you saying your old mic didn't work properly with Windows 10? Is that what you're saying? Because the blue mics should be fine with Windows 10. That's probably true though. If it was muffling the sound occasionally, maybe it was a problem with Windows 10 and your old mic. But the blue microphones in Windows 10, was a headset mic? Okay. Yeah, headset mics, I mean, if that's all you can use for a stream, then they'll do the job. I have 2 headset mics here as well on my headsets, and I don't use them. They tend to make your sound a bit tinny. You know what I mean? They have a tinny sound, the microphones in the headsets. So a dedicated mic is always the best way to go for sound quality anyway. You want to look at sending your audio through another program, another audio program to clean it up. That's what I actually do. Because I own the Adobe suite of software, I use Audition, but you don't have to use Audition. You can use Audacity as well, which is free. There are tutorials on the net to do it. So if you're not sure, just type Audacity, Twitch, clean audio or something, and you'll find tutorials on how to do it. But basically what happens is all my sound goes from my Yeti into Audition, and Audition runs filters over it to equalize the sound and do all that type of thing, and then that gets sent through to OBS. So that just helps to clean up my audio before it even gets out to OBS and sent out to Twitch to you guys. Sniper says that he had the same problem with Windows 10 in his mic, but you removed it and reinstalled Windows 8.1 audio drivers and it fixed it. Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize that too. Windows 10, you can use Windows 8 and 8.1 drivers on it. So if you've got a piece of hardware that hasn't been updated to a Windows 10 driver, install a Windows 8 or 8.1 driver for it. It's the same operating system, really. You can get around it that way, like Sniper Echo is saying. Leadness says he's streaming a lot, so he felt like making your viewers feel a little better. Well, it's important. If people are watching you on Twitch, they want to be able to hear you clearly and cleanly without a lot of hiss or background noise. Or I know when I listen to people on Twitch that don't have a great mic, or their mic is playing up, you don't really want to sit there and listen to them, because that's what Twitch is about. You know, you guys are watching me. Like, a lot of people don't have a camera either, which it's a personal choice. Not everybody is comfortable being on a camera and having that beamed to everyone around the world. But if you don't have a camera, you've definitely got to have a good mic, and preferably both, really, because people on Twitch like to see you while you're talking, usually. But like I said, a lot of people don't like to use a camera because, number one, they don't feel comfortable by using a camera, or they just don't feel like using a camera, or they don't want to broadcast themselves to the world, so their image anyway. Sniper Echo says the Snowball, the Snowball will certainly beat any headset, that's for sure. Any dedicated mic will generally beat a headset, unless it's a really top of the range headset. Even then, a dedicated mic is definitely the way to go if you're doing Twitch.